Hey guys, what's up? I hope you all had a good day. I had a pretty decent day playing ticker BCDA. I traded it live on the mic with Liam for about an hour while the trade took place. We covered a lot of good information about price action, algos, and important price levels. So if you missed it, you might have seen the trade in the chat room, but I'll do my best to recap as much as I can what we went over and my thought process on what was going on. Anyways, I'm going to start off with the strategy and thought process I was using. I don't quite have a name for the strategy yet, but I think I'm going to call it the price level bull squeeze or something silly like that. But I'm using a trend line to track a trend to predict when the price level is going to break with momentum. And it's important to know the difference here. I'm a momentum trader, not a trend trader. Um, I'm simply using the trend line only to predict where the break in momentum is going to be so I can ride the momentum as a scalp trader, momentum trader, because that's what I am. I don't want to sit in a trend for hours. So I don't think a trend line is a support line. I just think it's for track and trend. I don't think price action obeys trend lines. I only think they obey horizontal daily price levels. So with that being said, that's just a little bit the difference between this the pattern. This is not a triangle pattern. This is a break of a price level, and this so happened to be the high of day. So this would be a break high of day. So we're gonna go to the first trade. So we're gonna cover a bit of the characteristics. Maybe draw a second trend line because I removed the first trend line and draw the second trend line for the trade. So I believe it went somewhere up like that. It won't be perfect for this video, but that's where I'll leave it. So I'm looking for an important level, a daily level, ones we draw in pre-market. You see Liam posts charts every day in the morning watch list with the levels he draws in pre-market. They're not imaginary, they're levels he goes out and finds, they're always important. So these are levels we found in pre-market. I think I found these intraday because I wasn't quite looking at this pre-market. I had mentioned it in the chat room, but I don't think I really took it too serious yet. So I'll flip over quickly to the daily chart because I want to show you guys something. So these two great big green wick days is kind of something what we're seeing right up here, and these stretch all the way out to 632. I think Liam had 634 drawn on his chart. It's kind of interpretation. It's hard to see like that unless you zoom right in. And 674. I had 675. And you can see how the prices play into them. They're pretty important levels. And $6 I had right here. That's a whole number, pretty psychological number. Hedges, prop firms, big numbers. They like to use whole numbers. They don't want to mess around with the decimals in their trades. So with that being said, these are important levels we can find in pre-market. We could have found all those in pre-market. So and that's how this plays into it. So I'm looking for it to test these levels at least 3 times to the cent without breaking it. So my first entry, we'll show it on the 1 minute, you can see it best. It was too early. And I'll tell you why it's too early. I'm seeing that, oh, that's way too far. Now when I'm examining it after, I need price action to test that line 3 times, and it didn't, and I got shooken out, and I'm paying for it. But it was still a good day, so I'm not too worried about it, and I learned. So this might look like it tested that or touched that price level twice, but it didn't. That candle just opened and closed pretty well at the same time and claimed that level. So I just consider that 1 test, 2 tests. So I was early. I want to say this part of my rules for this strategy is it has to test a minimum of 3 times. So I got in early, added to my position, got shooken out. I took my stop loss at a 20 moving average before it broke down to another level. I didn't want to take that big of a loss. It wasn't the end of the day, and it kind of made it to a more of an A+ setup. I call this the shakeout. So what happened here, it quickly broke this trend line and bought back up right in real quick. It was within 2 minutes and started trading within range. What's happening here, it's hard to say for sure, but big hedges, algos, they're playing around these whole numbers. So they shook us out. They took advantage of me there. They knew people were sitting in there. The orders were sitting on the level 2. Um, this is level 2 here. This is not in to compare to what's going on here. This is for what this price is at 2:49 p.m. here, market hour, not at 11 a.m. because you can see the price is ticking around up in here. Anyways, so the algos, those guys, they slammed us right out. They ripped the price right out in a hurry. They shot it down and bought it back up in a hurry again. Stopped a bunch of people out. So that's all right. I re-entered as soon as I seen that because I knew it was happening. So these algos, these slam me out. I call this a shakeout, and I take this as a bullish sign. It breaks my trend line, gets right back into trading range, and comes up, gets volume, and breaks that whole number. What was, I think, the high of the day at the time. I'm pretty sure it was the high of the day at the time. So I entered $6 on the dot again, with my stop loss this time would have been tighter. Would have been this 584 line, or the height of this high of this 1 minute, because I just didn't want to get stopped out again. And the volume came in. So that's a pretty key thing, right? What's going on? We have no volume over here, and all of a sudden the volume shoots up with the price. The buyers came at 10:30. They took us up. I had a line drawn at 635. That's the pre-market level. So I started taking my profits all the way up into there, and I wasn't quite sure it was going to break. Didn't want to lose any more money for the day. I wanted to gain some money back I lost in the first trade, and that's what I did. So I got all out right here. That turned out to be almost an A+ setup for me for all my indicators and rules. Other than I had an early entry, that was my fault. It wasn't the strategy's fault. That was my fault. I wasn't following my rules. So that was the first trade. And then I adjusted the trend line after. So I'm going to delete this trend line because it doesn't mean anything to us now. Oh, I deleted that line instead. That was the important line we want to talk about. So we'll put it back. So, and then this trade, I let it sit for an hour, and first I thought it was done. Liam and I were just chatting on the mic. We were talking algos and stuff, and about that shake up and stuff, I believe. And I just thought it was just going to be a turbo breakdown here, and some volume picked right back up. This 1030 area, and it got back up against the moving average and started trading on this level. Broke back down to this whole level and bounced and pivoted and came right back up within a few minutes with no volume back to the 634 level. Found a bit of volume, spiked up again, tested this daily level again, 675, broke back down and just hugged this level for a while. Just super indecision here. Lots of indecision. We were talking about this, like, what is this stock going to do? We were trying to figure out. We're saying about how the algorithms are just holding it there, bouncing around. So they were kind of figuring out what to do. And then it shook me out once more time. And you can see it on the 5 minute and the 1 minute and I think the 2 minute. So we'll scroll over. We'll find my trend line. Too far. Okay, so the 675 line where I took all my profits. My initial plan, I better make this clear, my initial plan was for it to test this 3 times at least and break up. So you can see it did it once here, touched it twice here, and the third time it didn't quite get the steam. It would have been the trade I wanted anyways, but I took an early entry, and I'll tell you why I took the early entry too. So I seen this shakeout happening, and it's part of my A+ rules in the setup. I like seeing this shakeout now, and I'm trying to wait for it to happen, especially with all the algos playing right now. So it gave me really good indicators what this was about. So get rid of that pen actually. I want to zoom in on the 1 minute chart. Yeah, it's hard to see right now because of that stupid arrow, but that wick, it almost touched VWAP. So when the algos ripped this price right out from underneath this level, they almost dropped it right back to VWAP, and then the buyers just jumped right onto it. you see that volume spike right up. And as soon as it came back in my range, I said, okay, this thing might try to run a little bit. And I noticed there was, I don't know, 20 cents, 30 cents within my range here. I was like, all right, I might be able to make a small scalp profit. And that's what I did. So I got in, and this kind of made a hammer doji. That's the type of doji this is. It's when the sellers shoot the price down and the buyers right back up, and it makes a nice hammer doji. Kind of looks like a hammer at the top, and then shoots up. It got on top of these moving averages. So I'm seeing this on the 2 minute as well. It's getting squeezed into this line with my trend line. Busts out real quick, shoots back in, does the same thing on the 5 minute. So in the 5 minute, they're just battling with indecision here. I'll circle this because this was pretty important. I was looking at this for a while and I was talking about the 5 minute chart because it tracked quite nicely on the 5 minute chart. Move my arrows. Let's fix that. So you can see the trend line. It's tracking real nicely on this 5 minute chart, and then it shook me out. So I'll circle that now again. Oh no, too big now. We're not winning today, guys. Not on this part anyways. Alright, so this price level, these 5 minute candles just quite couldn't open and close over there. So for a 10 minute trend, we're still going up. The body of this candle slightly engulfed this candle. The wicks are a little bit shorter. This wick was a little bit taller. This wick was a little bit higher. So it's still a higher high and a higher low. And getting squeezed in the trend line. And then it got ripped out real in a hurry. Opened, came above this level. The volume quite wasn't as good as the rest of them, but it was there. So right here in the 2 minute, this volume came in, got in for an early entry, pumped all the way up there, started taking my partials. I was reading the level 2 at the same time, and I didn't know if it was going to get some steam. So over this, I was just kind of reading the price action. I was just trying to keep a few shares in case this ran up through 7, which it did later on in the day, but didn't seem to have the gas there, but that's all right. It was 2 good trades. So that's kind of a little bit on that strategy. So we're just going to scroll over now. I haven't seen what's going on the rest of the day. The day's still trading. And we'll see if this would have made sense anywhere else. So obviously that trend line is not going to mean anything because that's stuck to over there. So what's BCDA doing? You almost could have played another one off the 5 minute to predict this breakout, but except it made a lot of indecision here and you could have got stopped out. Let's see what it did on the 2 minute. I find these little triangle things happen every day if I just sit there and wait. Had a slight trend up. It didn't quite make the pattern I was looking for, but it did find the high of day, and once it did break a high day, which was $7 finally, which it didn't quite get over there. Once it did break that level, you can see the volume broke that whole number and shot right up. So that's just another thing you can look at for whole numbers. But anyways, that was my day on BCDA.